Now, when we talk about something being holy, it's used in different ways. The word just means set apart. But usually when we think about being holy or sanctified, we're talking about like the priest or maybe like the Ark of the Covenant. And a lot of times it had to do with being set apart for service. But God doesn't serve anyone. And so when we say God is holy, He's not holy like you and I are holy. God is truly holy. Maybe a funny way to think of it is He's super holy. God is holy on a whole other level. You know how we are taught to pray? And I think that's what we're seeing in these first few verses. Let's talk about the rock, for example. What are rocks good for, especially in a desert climate like Hannah would have lived in?
It holds things down, keeps it firm.
Keeps it firm. Remember Jesus' example about the wise man who built his house on the rock? What ended up happening in that story Jesus gave about the wise man?
The wise man's building stood firm.
Against what?
He built it against the wind, against
the floods, against the storm. Well, in this area, you would either have extreme weather climates. You would either have very dry times, and a rock could provide shade. It could provide protection from the elements, but it could also sometimes there'd be flash floods. There were these things called wadis in that area, and they're basically dry riverbeds. But during the rainy seasons, they could quickly flood. And so when that would happen, you want to get on a high place, maybe on a big rock. And so the idea of the rock here is that God was her refuge. That's the idea. That's the sense of this, that God is her refuge. And certainly when we go through trials in life, whatever they may be, God can be our refuge as well, just like they were in Hannah's life.
A rock is like unmoving, firm, always there. You can count on it.
Stable, right? Stable, stability.
But I was thinking, I know you're talking about water, but I was thinking of sand blowing, the wind blowing the sand crazy, and there's a rock in the middle of all that sand.
Right. Goes back to the idea of refuge as well. So stability and refuge. God was her stable rock, her refuge, somewhere where she could go and not take a reprieve from the crazy chaos of life.
But I was thinking of holding on to it, not getting blown away.
Yes. Very good. All right, verse 3. We read that one too. So notice God is called the God of knowledge. In what way is God the God of knowledge?
He's all-knowing.
In every way, God is the God of knowledge from other people, but nothing is secret from God. And I could just picture Hannah being ridiculed by Peninnah, and maybe Elkanah didn't know about it, her husband didn't know about it, but you know who did know about it? God. So He's the God of knowledge, but notice, by Him actions are weighed. Because God knows everything, even maybe just out of